IVM.
Hello to Football Shootball. This is episode number 13, or lucky number 13, as our producer Vishnu calls it. It's very lucky for him, but it hasn't been lucky for a lot of other people for many different reasons. Is 13th, the Friday 13th is a holiday, right? Or is it Good Friday? Is it the same thing, Karthik?
Isn't it Black Friday sales, like whatever that was this weekend? I don't know if it was
different.
The 13th or not, but no, that's
No,
different.
it wasn't. That's different. That's different. But anyway, we can't get into it any deeper because I don't know enough about it. But welcome, Karthik. You're the only other person on this podcast.
I think it's
listening,
like you're supposed to, like how you storm the Bastille prison, you're supposed to storm all the stores and all. Isn't that the rule on Friday? On
Are
Black
you talking
Friday?
about Black Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah, that could be. That's a good analogy. Like if they hadn't thought of one, I would go with that one. It's a really nice reference. Like you basically run into stores and ransack. I don't think you can ransack them. You just get
you ideally you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's a society, so you shouldn't. So like I was saying, Karthik is the only other guest. No, you're not a guest. You're a co-host today. I'm elevating you to the level of a co-host because we are the only two people. We are lucky to not be joined by the third wheel on this podcast, who's Gaurav Sapre. He's unfortunately not able to make this due to a last-minute engagement, which he knew about for the last 3 days. But let's, for the benefit of the audience, say it's last minute. So it feels a little more, he's busy, but he's not. But yeah, the one thing we did want to talk about right away, and let's start with that before we cut into the first break. Karthik, thoughts on United? They've let their old manager go. I mean, I'm saying old, but not that old. They have someone coming in. Give me your top 2 thoughts on how they're going to do in the future, and is Ralf Rangnick the person to handle them?
I have drank the Ralf Rangnick Kool-Aid like a long time ago. I wouldn't be able to name even 3 of his accomplishments. I think he's just won 2 trophies in his career. Cue a Spurs joke by Shivram. And I do not know. I mean, his idea of football seems excellent. It does not seem like a typical United signing, but I'm looking forward to it. But secondly, and this is something I want to ask you now, if Ralf Rangnick is so well thought of and if he's the best football brain there is in the industry today, Shivram, why was he in Moscow as some director of the club in Lokomotiv? Why was he there?
Yeah,
why not?
Like, I don't know why you said there's a typical United signing. One, I don't think we know enough about him, but clearly he didn't have many opportunities, right? This is obviously not. Maybe it's a test and learn, right? It's a pilot. Like 6 months try karte, nahi pasand aaya to paisa wapas type. But he's actually wrangled himself into a future-looking role as well. I have a couple of jokes. Let's start with those. How do you make Ralf Rangnick Kool-Aid? You gag press it. and just correcting you, I don't want to do this publicly, but we'll cut into a break right after this. You don't say Spurs joke. It's like saying chai tea. It's basically the same thing. We'll be right back after these messages.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are 0 charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into a show about crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
And we're back. We're still on Football Shootball, episode number 13. We don't have a name for it. We'll come up with one as we go through the rest of the things that have happened. Lots of things have happened as of last night as well. Very, very controversial. Someone who's deserving hasn't gotten his fair due. Someone undeserving has been elevated to his 7th. Cool. So let's start with that. We spoke about United already. We'll cover what they did against Chelsea. But let's start with the biggest story of this week before the week for FPL kicks off. Lionel Messi with his 7th Ballon d'Or. Number two was Lewandowski. And number 3 was Jorginho. Yes, you were saying.
It's like we have been building this narrative that Lionel Messi has not been a success in international football for the last 10, 12, 15 years, and he's won a trophy this year. Nobody else was going to win this award. Like, I'm sorry if anyone thought Lewandowski would. He was not going to. And you saw the votes. You actually shared the vote split with us a little before it was officially announced through your sources, which I must say are really, really good and pretty high praise. But there is a vast difference between how many people who voted for Messi and Lewandowski. So I think that the narrative was built that if he wins an international trophy, it's going to be his year. He did it. He's not had the best club season. That I don't think anybody's saying.
Are you saying Ballon d'Or, which is an individual trophy, is being given out to people who won like international or national or whatever trophies, like which is a team sport, and it's not given on individual merit? Is that what you're saying? Is that your allegation?
There is a dilemma there, no? Because if two players have won it for the 12 of the last 13 seasons, you're giving it for individual awards. Like you basically try and see if the person has won a trophy to go along with it, ideally. But you're giving it to either one of these two over the past how many ever years it has been. I think these don't matter. Like
why did Jorginho win it? Shall I explain that to me?
Why didn't? I mean, if Jorginho was a joke.
I mean, he's third. No. I mean, he's third. I mean, he in no world is he even close to winning it. But I'm saying he's still third.
I think it's unfortunate that someone like a Salah and a Benzema, who have had a really, really good seasons, and I'm not just talking about the last 3 months, they've had really, really good 2021s, are ranked like 5th and 7th or whatever they are. I was surprised where Salah was. Jorginho comes because the team did so well, because Chelsea won the Champions League and Italy won Euros, and he was the one common factor there. Unless you want to give it to Emerson, who plays at left back, but
it was also a common factor.
But he it's fine. Yeah, these are it's great. I think Lewandowski wanted to win it, but I feel Lewandowski will be remembered more as the one guy who should have won it but does not have the trophy. I think people like stories of injustice. I mean, you follow them a lot more than Messi.
It's like Batman.
Then Messi winning his 7th. Messi won his 7th, big deal. But I think the fact that it wasn't there in 2020 and it was widely considered Robert Lewandowski's year last year, I think that stands out a little bit more than now. Messi is just accumulating, right? 6 was when he went past Ronaldo, who also had 5 with him. Now 7, next year you make it 8. I mean, big deal. Like, I don't think Ronaldo's going to win one. I possibly don't think Messi is going to win one more either. So I think hopefully we see a new rung of players.
I have a little more controversial question. Is Ballon d'Or the whole and soul of what decides who's the greatest of them all?
FIFA, the governing body, has tried to counter it with FIFA the best. We saw how that worked out. Firstly, the name sounds off.
FIFA should just not. just. I mean, I'm not even going to complete the sentence. Just don't.
Just don't. Yeah. So, I mean, your best is going to be for you, whoever it may be. But I think if a certain number of, these are all journalists, so sometimes they see the sport in a different way than normal fans do. Maybe not for the better, but they do see it in a slightly different way. People who vote on this. So he's at least critically, he is the most acclaimed footballer on the planet right now. Let's put it that. He probably doesn't have the popular vote, as we say in film fair awards, right? You have the critics' choice.
I knew you were going there, Okay, so enough of that.
He's like, he may be like a Nawazuddin Siddiqui who wins all these critic awards, but it's Akshay Kumar who takes away the.
I think Lewandowski is closer to a Ranveer Singh. If you look at his TikToks, especially. I mean, I don't know if I can say TikTok anymore, Reels or whatever it's worth. But I think he's more Ranveer Singh, and Messi is the old guard, I think, in its time. But even Lewandowski is 32 now, or 33. So he's not getting any younger anytime soon. Okay, enough of that. I can't believe Jorginho was even in the top 3. That is insane. I think maybe for the penalty he took for United over the weekend. How did you feel about the Chelsea United game? What happened?
Before, but we get into Chelsea United, I actually had a question for you, considering before we get into the matches. And you and I really don't want to talk about the games that much, possibly because I don't think we have seen too many put together.
I was just going to talk. I saw the games, but I don't want to talk about the game. This is not a recap show. Please go back and watch highlights.
I was having this discussion the other day when India's cricket match was happening yesterday, and it was called off. India needed a wicket. We couldn't get the wicket for a little bit, for I think for 45 minutes or so, and it was called off for bad light. And there is no other sport I don't think in the world where players go off for bad light. Yeah, golf possibly. Does it make it a lesser game? For me personally, I think that's the charm of cricket. Okay, India may have, if they had the time, they would have got the 1 wicket. Fine, it's a thrilling 1 wicket win in the dying embers of the falling sun. But at this point, when you have to go off, and now New Zealand have fought out for a fought draw, I love the fact that there is this one sport that still uses light meters, that still says that I will take a reading on day 1. And the same reading, even if it's brighter, but as long as the reading shows me on day 5, I'm going to go off. I think that's genius.
So how am I going to react to that is, I think that's what keeps the romance alive for cricket. Like, it is so constrained by so many environmental factors that you absolutely can't control. Like, same holds true for rain, right? If it rains too hard, you get the super stoppers out. Like, I mean, that is insane. I've never seen a super stopper except maybe on tennis pitches. I don't think I've seen a super stopper on a football field ever. Right? Same holds true for rugby, any other contact sport. I mean, cricket's not a contact sport, but you get what I'm saying. The other thing about cricket is, they have tried to expand the realms of it, like with the ping ball, and, you have lights, and then you try and extend test cricket also. It's not like they've not. So they've also recognized it, and they've said, okay, we possibly need to extend this into the evening. But again, those are like the IPLification, if I can make that word. Like, how do you make this more interesting? Sometimes you're trying to fix what isn't broken. I completely agree with you. But if you have an IPL in the same universe as a test cricket, right, it's very normal to make that comparison. And as a layman who absolutely does not have the level of interest or knowledge about cricket, I'm like, why can't you finish this game? This is getting to be such a thriller.
Yeah. You're right. Again, now this is unfair on India because you were told you could bowl X number of overs and you haven't been allowed to. This is like football where you get 94 minutes and you play the 94 minutes come what may. Yeah. All it would have taken yesterday in Kanpur was a flick of a switch. There are lights in the ground. That ground hosts ODIs. Yeah. It is just cricket being, for the want of a worse word, anal about these things. But then part of that is the charm, is where I'm coming.
Yeah, I think that's where, I completely agree. That's why I said it's the romance of cricket, right? Like, these are so unexpected, and where problems can be easily fixed, but you don't because you're going by the book, is where it creates a reaction, which may or may not always go your way. Like, whoever you're saying is making those decisions, which is why I think the lack of clarity around these rules is what makes it human. Which is why I still stand by VAR. Yes, it's fantastic. Technology should absolutely get in. But I wanted it, like, if it was me, I would stop it at the goal line, right? It may, like, if it's inside the goal line, sure, give it a penalty and we have the technology, great. But don't get into the VARing of it of, this is one inch ahead and 1 inch behind, because it's not conducive to the idea of, yes, you're going by the rule book. Completely agree. Similar to what you did with cricket, right? You're sticking with the rules and I get it. But there was this argument that let's do that 1 feet plus minus for VAR as well. I don't know if they're following it anytime soon. But again, we're out with the rulers and trying to draw lines. So that takes away from the sport. If you say people don't immediately celebrate now, right? I mean, there can be nothing bigger in a football game than a goal. There is nothing that will happen, right? If you heard,
there is nothing. Yeah.
You heard Roy Keane go at it with Carragher about where he said, he's a good goal scorer, and he just went at him saying, what else do you need in a game of football? But suddenly you take away the charm of that, where right after the goal, everyone's literally looking at the screen to see if it's a goal. It's like waiting for your COVID test result, right? You're just waiting, like with bated breath. I hope it's always negative. But the idea is that it's taking the charm away, and then I get it's for the better, but is it really? Are you just getting closer to making sure the rules are applying to the game? So that's where I think the gray areas are what makes sport really fun to watch. Same holds true for all the other sports we look at. Look at F1. They go completely by the book. Everything
that entire the Hamilton Verstappen thing that it blew up over that weekend, couple of weekends ago.
Very touched as thing.
I tried reading. I did not understand it a single bit. It was about some height of the car, height of the wing, this guy going and touching. Oh man, I was like,
I think so. Again, it goes both ways. The purists will really enjoy that. Because they're like, this is perfectly by the book. This makes sense, or this doesn't make sense, right? Same also true for football. When you say it was the ball to hand or hand to ball, at one point in I remember, we would say that is not a foul because it's not intentional.
Yeah.
How the hell are you going to find out if it's intentional or not? I could be a really good actor and trying to, I could pull a really good tackle and then make it feel like it wasn't. So stuff like that, like grayer areas, like a limited set of grayer areas is what keeps the romance alive. That is what will get us talk, right? Like if I was to just do like a robotic form of that, we wouldn't really watch, right? Like we could just go by the prediction of the Amazon probability and then say, oh, this looks like India's going to win, and that'll be the end of that. But that's what keeps it alive.
So the most important thing I got from this is that according to Shivram Parmeshwaran, a striker in his own right, scoring a goal feels as good as getting a stick shoved up your nose.
No, I just got my COVID test done, so that is very fresh in my brain. As you know, the stick travels all the way up to your brain. It tickles your.
So what happened in the football? I saw United.
We'll just talk about the one game, Chelsea United. Chelsea were going to win it, right? Like all things pointed to a Chelsea win, and a dramatic one at that. Somehow United, and you know how they do it, right? Which is why other fans end up not liking United, is they'll pull the rabbit out of the hat way too many times. Like that is why Fergie time became so popular, not because they got so much time, but because they would convert in those minutes. What happened?
Firstly, the third best player in the world went and gave away the ball for some reason at the halfway line to Jadon Sancho, and I think Rashford was running along with him. One point about Sancho, I've been one of his biggest fans, and the shimmy that he did at the end, where he could have laid it off, but he took it on himself. Oh, beautiful! I hope that he comes good, and I think he will with Ragnick coming in there, who, by the way, has famously said in 2015 that I'll never sign Ronaldo because he's too old. So if he thought Ronaldo was old in 2015,
the life gives you lemons, you bench them.
Yeah, but maybe Ronaldo, he seems like such a specimen. He's one of these reverse aging people who just seems to get better physically better, at least with age. It'll be fun to see Chelsea again. I do not. Okay, I've been sticking up for Werner for a long time, but this is now.
Whose fault is that?
Over the past few weeks, and now the goals are not there. I
think they've not been coming for a while now. I think Werner was the biggest reason why United were able to get away with a draw. Yeah. It could have been absolutely anyone. They could have played with 10 men.
Yeah. They're probably lucky that Lukaku is coming back. Chelsea will be fine with the result. I think Tuchel knows that.
He doesn't care that much, but I think they'll go all guns blazing midweek.
Yeah, and then they did beat Juventus in midweek as well. Last week.
Yeah, 4-0.
Exactly. So that was a thrashing.
4-0, yeah.
But yeah, so they're good, but I think they need. Then remember, just before Lukaku got injured, you were starting to question, should you have him in your FPL side anymore? Because he's doing a lot of good work, maybe as a footballer and to the team. He's helping maybe the wing-backs. Reece James has 5 goals from wing-back. Maybe he's helping bring everyone into play. But as an asset by himself, I think Chelsea will need him to reach somewhere, because we all thought 20 goals a season. Now I don't see that happening from Lukaku right now.
Yeah, he blanked, I think, 4 game weeks in a row. You're right. When he comes back, I think I still have that hope alive that he'll come back and start firing. Especially when it's a Chelsea squad, right? Like it's becoming like a City squad. Like you can't really buy an FPL. And I know we're getting into the FPL territory here earlier than we should. But you want someone who will, like you said, give you 20 goals a season. But if you're just part of that machinery and you never know where the goals are going to come from, if it's going to be Reece James or Chilwell, like Chilwell's out, could it be Alonso, could it be Jorginho? I don't know, right? Like I can't even, does Callum Hudson-Odoi start as often? I don't know. So there could be a lot of reasons where you possibly wouldn't want to get Lukaku, especially at a premium price. So that becomes a little tricky, and it's going the City way, where I don't even know if Mahrez is playing this week. So especially after he was fired at Leicester. He's one of the reasons they won that year. And then suddenly you become this big player in a huge squad like Grealish.
I hope he stays. I hope he tries to fight for his place, because I think Tuchel will give you a chance if you do. He seems like he's such a manager. I hope. There were rumors that Ziyech wants to leave in January, but I hope he sticks around. This match also got me thinking about, I think, the sheer quality of manager that the Premier League has, because you had Thomas Tuchel at one end, you had not Michael Carrick, but Ralf Rangnick, we all knew was
making the calls. He had similar headphones plugged in.
At the other end, I think the one thing that has happened is A, because the Premier League has the money, and B, I think they've realized the importance of having not just an ex-player, but a good manager on the job. I know they still do the ex-player stuff, but this is still a league where you have Klopp, where you have Guardiola, where you have Tuchel, where you have Ragnick, where you have Bielsa, where you have Rafa Benitez also coming back. So I think this is something, I think the European leagues did it much earlier, getting an entire football philosophy in place, whereas here in England, it was just two guys, I think Ferguson and Wenger, who was so good. I think it just put everyone else alongside them under shade. Because someone like, you remember a Gerard Houllier at Liverpool? He was damn good. But then now,
of course,
after him, Benitez came in the next season, won the Champions League, and Houllier was sadly a little bit of a forgotten man, at least in Liverpool.
Oh, I remember a lot of really good managers from that. I mean, not to take a shot at Sunderland, but they survived with Mick McCarthy for a really long time. So, I mean, even for that level of a manager, you would still stick in the Premier League, right? Like, I'm not saying he's the same level as, but like other ex-players like Zola and stuff like that, like they never stuck around for as long. So that should tell you something.
Yeah. And sometimes like Chelsea, I think realized their folly when it came to Lampard pretty soon. Lampard, in fact, when he's in, I think he's in the Sky Sports studio. He's actually an extremely good pundit.
Really?
I know maybe he wants to be a manager, and fair play to him. He has all the necessary avenues needed that he will get a job if he wants to. But he seems like, because he scored 200 plus goals from midfield in the Premier League. He's one of the greatest players, and I think he reads the game. It's far. I know Carragher versus Keane was fun, but sometimes listening to someone like a Van Persie and Henry or Lampard.
No, absolutely. I would always love to listen to Van Persie and Henry. I do have a question for you. Maybe Lampard would have come fourth in the Ballon d'Or with his 200 goals after Jorginho.
Why is that troubling you so much?
It's a joke.
He hits the most unique penalty ever. I think they should just give it to him for that.
Jorginho?
Yeah. You know, the graceful hop. Yeah. I know Bruno does this. Okay, Bruno does the same thing. It doesn't look half as good as when Jorginho pulls it off.
Okay, now we're going into very, very grey areas. I don't think any kind of fan wants to listen to this. What I do want to discuss is, but Steven Gerrard's taken on a challenge. Does Lampard have to go that route eventually? Because he's I think the first shot you get at a league club is depending on your past experience, right? And that may or may not be specific to your managerial experience, which is why I think Lampard got in, Ole got in. Do you think Gerrard made the right choice? And Aston Villa have had 2 back-to-back wins after. And they were in a pretty bad form after they...
5 losses before he came in. 5
after
losses
the
in a row.
100 million they got for Grealish, which they spent on, not great players who at least haven't delivered on the pitch. So, I mean, they must be great people, but they're not great players. He's clearly showing that he has appetite for a challenge. Does it make sense to go that route and then take the longer, winding route to a dependable position versus cashing in early and seeing how it goes?
I think it was, maybe he's had the conversations with the Liverpool hierarchy. I think he's been told very clearly, if you show us your credentials when Klopp leaves, which is 2024, he was probably told this 2 years ago, you will be our next choice. Unless something really bad happens and Klopp will get sacked and all. Now that's never going to happen. Let's just make that very clear.
Not at Liverpool.
He took the Rangers job. He stopped Celtic from winning 10 league titles in a row.
That is insane.
Then after that, what do you do in the Scottish Premier League? Let's be honest, it's a 2-team league. If you think La Liga is a 2-team league, which it's not because Atletico are there, but Scotland is even worse when it comes to just being between the 2 teams. Yeah. So what more can you do? He did okay in Europe. He had a few good results, I think, last season against Lazio. And then when the Villa job comes, I think it's a perfect stepping stone because this is a side where I think mid-table. What is success at Villa? In my head, it still is not getting relegated. In my head, I don't know. I think it's as long as they don't get relegated. Because 2 seasons ago
is their moonshot, is what I would say.
Yeah, because 2 seasons ago, you remember, they would probably be down if it wasn't for that handball, that goal line technology, the goal line error. Which never happens in football.
Against Sheffield.
Never ever. Yeah, against Sheffield. It never happens. So I think this is good if he keeps them up. If he keeps them, he's very likely to keep them mid-table because this is still a good side. Even though they don't have Grealish, this is still a good side. And then the Liverpool job. The Liverpool job is his. if he wants it, as long as ownership or other things don't change on Merseyside.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I never thought about it like that. So yeah, that makes complete sense to me. So you are saying this is the best way to get to a Liverpool job. Plus, you are in the same league, so you get to play the games, and then this is a forward-looking move. Yeah, that makes sense.
Listen, if Mumbai FC comes to you tomorrow and tells you, we just want to go left field, Shivram, you played with us in the reserves many years ago, so come on, you can manage us now. You're old enough, you have the grey hair, you can manage us. If you're Frank Lampard or if you're Shivram Parmeshwar, you're not going to say no. You have to take the job. Yeah.
But that's, I think the discussion here is more about, is it the right way to do it? Like, I would absolutely not say no to a managerial job in my current capacity to, step up and say, I'll figure it out, right? But the point here is that the right way to do it? You can also say no.
Okay, according to me, we can give the blanket answer of saying there is no right way, blah, blah, blah. But according to me, I think the best way a club has been run over the past 20 years from whenever I've been seeing football is Chelsea Football Club. They hire, in terms of managerial, I'm talking about in terms of managerial appointments and firings. They hire and fire at will. They win trophies. The winning trophies part of it is one of the most, I think, vital things if you're a big club. And I think Chelsea have realized that was their goal and they have done so. Whoever the manager is. I mean, Roberto Di Matteo won the Champions League and they fired him midway through the next season. Mourinho has experienced it twice. Conte has been successful. There are an experience getting left out as well. I think they do a fantastic job of how we can look at managers are hired in this league. Lampard was a misstep which they corrected almost immediately. It took United a while to realize Ole was the issue, and probably that while has cost United a really good bunch of performances because the players that they have now. Pogba's running out of his contract. Bruno came in a bit too late. Remember the dealing for Bruno? 18 months it took. It came in a bit too late.
Of course.
So I think they've lost out on a lot of success with the players that they had because they didn't have a manager who, while he's a decent manager, he still was the one who was relegated with Derby or Cardiff, with Cardiff, and then he managed only in the Norwegian league. So I think the misstep was there in not letting go of him sooner.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I completely agree with that. What happened to John Terry at Aston Villa? Is he still there?
No, he just funny that you mentioned. I think he recently left and he joined Twitter. By most accounts, but I do not know how much. Yeah, I don't know how much
signed up on Twitter.
He created an account on Twitter. It's not yet verified, but everyone seems to be saying that that's John Terry, and he's taking digs at anyone. Yeah, who makes fun of him, and you know what jokes come about over John Terry, right?
So of course.
Yeah, he's replying to most of them. So.
He should not burn his bridges.
So I'm still not sure. I don't think this is a real account. I think it's...
But wait, you said he quit and he joined Twitter. I thought he joined Twitter for work.
He has left Aston Villa.
I thought he's like an executive at Twitter or something. But you said he just signed up on Twitter. It's like, I left and joined Instagram. I'm like, oh, what do you do at Instagram? No, I post pictures. That doesn't make any sense.
I do not know what his next plan is. So maybe a championship club.
Because I wouldn't, like, if I was John Terry, would I really want to work under under Gerrard? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moment I think Smith was let go, Dean Smith was let go, I think Terry himself realized that, okay, this is where I need to find something new for myself.
Okay. So enough about that. There is an incoming, before we get into FPL, there is a midweek game week. I think the games are tonight. My goodness, that is such a pleasant surprise. The games are tonight. That is lovely. And Arsenal play United. So let's spend a minute on that before we get into FPL. Karthik, give us your predictions. What, why? Tell us what will happen. You can see the future.
Yeah, it's the Kool-Aid. Ralf Rangnick is going to go on a 10-match winning streak now. 3-0 to United.
3-0 to United. Wow. How much alcohol is in that Kool-Aid, man? Are you using it as a chaser or something? Bloody Mary. What is happening? Yeah. Oh, wow. 3-0 to United. That is quite... Is this based on how they played against Chelsea?
No, it's based on nothing. I don't enjoy watching Manchester United matches, so I'm not going to... I I think new manager bounce. Let's call it that. Let's use a cliche for once.
Okay, new manager bounce. Cool. Okay. I think it'll be a close one. I'm thankful almost that Sapre is not on this podcast.
No, you don't give me a prediction. You tell me whether Ronaldo will start or be benched. Ooh.
I think he'll start.
Oh.
I don't think you can bench Ronaldo twice in a row.
You don't think this was all part of the plan where Ragnick called up Carrick and said, make sure you bench that guy before I come there. Let him get the message even before I'm in charge.
It's a show of absolute power. It's a power move. I will never disagree with that. That makes complete corporate management sense. It's also telling the world that I'm here and I can do whatever the hell I want. This is what I said in 2015. I don't eat my words. You sit on the bench. So that's literally what happened. It's a fantastic power move. He's announced his result and I think he'll start him. He's like, okay, second game you can play. But I think he might just take him off at 60 also if it doesn't go as planned. And I think he might just throw on Van de Beek to protect the 1-0 lead that they get because someone slipped at the back of the Arsenal line. Okay, enough about that. My prediction for Arsenal United is going to be a 2-1 victory for Arsenal. I think Aubameyang's going to score one from outside the box. And the other one will come from Emil Smith-Rowe, who will arrive late in the box for a cross that was bouncing around in the penalty area and he'll have the final touch. And United will get the one goal by a penalty because Bruno Fernandes will earn this one. And Ronaldo will miss it and then sneak in the return goal. This is all planned for my FPL, so I get points. I mean, I'm an Arsenal supporter, but I also live
and a big Ramsdale fan nowadays. So he needs to save a penalty.
Huge. Did you see that save against Newcastle that Shelby took? Like the only time I've talked about Shelby on this podcast would be for that shot he took against Ramsdale.
I tried. You know what? I tried when you messaged and I was watching it at that point. I tried finding something wrong to say about it. Like I was like, hey, it's not that good. I kept typing a message and I kept deleting it because they showed replays and it looked as good as that crazy photo from a few weeks ago. Like that was. I was like, no, this is for the cameras. He's doing it, and I typed all these messages out and I kept deleting it because honestly, it did not feel right because he's been doing very well. Fair play.
He's been saving Arsenal's face for quite a while now. So I am completely and the only fact why I love him, and sorry we're dragging this out, is he's such a character. Right, which is what I really love. Like, Emi Martinez was also a character. He was just a character who didn't like Arsenal, so he would show up. So it was just in, the same spirit I will take dig at him, right? So it goes both ways. So Ramsdale is fantastic. So I hope he makes that save when that penalty is given. Great. So let's talk about FPL. We also have, for anyone who's not already on the league, we have a Football Shootball Fantasy League. You can go to fantasy.premierleague.com, type in 3HDRUI, that's 3HDRUI. Come join the league and we can talk about how well you're doing. I'm not doing that good. I'm actually doing like a -12 this week because I have now realized FPL is, fun. So I should actually have fun. So I'm going with my gut this time. I will talk about some of the transfers that I made. But before that, let's take a quick look at the league and let's see who's doing well at the top. I think some similar names, some familiar names. Tangled up in blue, Ishan Ganguly still on top. 900 points. My God, how do you make 900 points? Junkies FC Kshitij Pangal, number 2, 901. Very, very close. Number 3, I think this is an old joke and almost stale now. Ole Bhature, not available, not in stock anymore. 896 points, Ravin Kapoor. Number 4, falling from his previous perch. Preeta Konar, or her previous coach, pardon me. Suicide Squad, 893. And number 5, Haldankar FC without the vowels, 891. So pretty close at the top. I think a gap of just 19 points between the top 5. So that's very steep. Karthik, where are you in the league now? Let's do a quick, break for humor and then we can crack on.
The page isn't opening for me, so you'll have to help me out.
I guess you're in the bottom, so let's not even go there. Okay, my tip, and Karthik, I'll come to you for your pick as well. I think we have a storm brewing at Newcastle. My tip this week is Wilson. I think he's going to come through with Norwich and Burnley and Leicester. So those 3 games back to back, I've actually taken a minus.
Wait, one second. I need to cut you off there. What in that Arsenal game did you see that impressed you? Newcastle they're going to be the richest club in the world. They're going to also be the richest club in the championship at this rate.
Yeah, there'll be like 500 million transfer kitty in the championship. They'll buy all the clubs. That is how much you can buy them twice over.
No, but seriously, why Newcastle?
I think so. This is why I said, this is why I prefaced it with the fact that I think it's fun and I have a gut feeling which I think Wilson is going to deliver. I think he's also mentioned in the scout. I saw that today. I made the changes yesterday. He's also on penalties. So which gives me the opportunity to double down and say, maybe there's a bigger likelihood. He may or may not. He's one of their, sole strikers. He plays alongside Saint Maximin. So you never know. It might just come through. Like if I have to get ahead, I have to make those differential choices. That's why I'm going with him. The other one I'm actually sticking with is Kane, who's going to be well rested after the game, which was called off over the weekend. So I'm going to stick with him for a little longer. They play Brentford and then Norwich. My plan is, if you haven't deciphered it by now, attack Norwich, which is what Wolves didn't do over the weekend. They were sitting still for most of the game. I think they had 30% possession or 40% possession. I mean, how do you do that against Norwich? Norwich had a really good chance to score. Pukki was very close to the finish line there, so that he didn't do. The last shout I have is Alonso. I know a lot of people have already said this. I saw him play the United game. He was playing striker at the 70th minute. Even though he was taken off at the 77th, he was really high up the pitch. So, and I've seen Alonso do this many times over, even in the past. So, I think double Chelsea defense. I also got Reguilon from Spurs to bolster that. And I'm playing 4 defense at the back. So that's going to be my overview for FPL. What about you? Are you making a change at all, or are you going to go through the rest of the season? I think you've come too far now to make a change.
Okay, then I will. I think I'm out of time for tonight. What time is the first game? 11:30?
No. Lucky for us, living in India, we are affected by daylight savings. It's actually at 1 a.m.
Oh, so I still have time until 11:30 p.m. So that's another hour from the time that we're recording.
So don't do it. Don't do it. It takes away the romance of your team, man. Think about it. You played the entire season.
Romance is dead. Romance is
yes, it is. So is your team, but that's the point.
So it's
your dead rubber team is actually above people who are actively making changes. What does it say about them? If I haven't said this before, this is not about you. It's about everyone else who pretends to know football and is also on this podcast and makes active changes. Takes -4, -8. They spend time in the day. They look at Scout, read on Twitter and make these informed changes. And they're worse off than a squad that has no changes. I mean, either give up or get out, right? So enough about Sapre.
Yeah, enough about Sapre. How about Jadon Sancho instead? I think he's coming good. I think he's going to get a good run of games.
That's a good shout. I think I actually had Sancho in my team right at the start of the year because I was hoping United would, show up, especially, with Martial out. I thought he would really...
Well, United did show up. They just left him on the bench. That's what they did.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, they didn't start him. And this is not the first time they're doing that. They've done it. They continue to do it with a certain Ajax player. United don't have that. They play Arsenal, so it's a tough fixture. But they do play Crystal Palace, Norwich and Brentford. So I might take you up on that tip maybe after this week. And I could do Foden out if Foden doesn't play this week. And then I'll switch him to Sancho. And he might just be the joker in the pack. He's already the joker in the pack. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, it's I think take Sancho. I think there's going to be a little bit of a bounce for United. I do not know how much, but I think Sancho and or Rashford.
Maybe for the first 10 minutes of the Arsenal game.
Dude, anyway, this is probably going to come out after anyone can make changes. So I'm speaking in terms of post the Arsenal match. So.
Fair enough. So Sancho's a good shout after that because they do have good games lined up after that. Okay, cool. So with that hot tip, let's take a quick break and come back.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood.
Get accustomed to womanhood.
Enjoy the experience of sisterhood.
Might get to wifehood.
Or not. Choose motherhood.
Or not. You'll learn to define your personhood.
Earn a livelihood.
Change the neighborhood.
And get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Ritasha.
And me, Ayushi.
On a journey from station starting point.
To station, what now?
Next station, Pudin station. And hopefully, Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.
Awesome. We're still on episode 13. It's called... What is it called?
I have a suggestion. No, I have a suggestion. I thought about it during the long break that we took. I thought because we're talking about Ragnick and governance and politics from afar, let's call this Raajneeti.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, he's coming in to rule over one of the biggest clubs in the world. So
and
Ralf,
like the film?
Ragnieti.
That was hilarious. And just like, Raajneeti, this is not really a democracy. So he makes the choices he wants. Ronaldo is benched. Van de Beek might start. What do we know, right? Phil Jones was on the bench. So maybe Phil Jones was maybe 5th in Ballon d'Or. I don't know what's happening anymore. Any last thoughts that you had, Karthik, before we let everyone go who's still listening in? And if you are, my condolences and my congratulations.
I think this one, just between the two of us, the dynamic is much better. I would assume that people are still listening in.
I didn't want to say it like that, but now that you've said it, I think if you want to vote Sapre out, please text on this number. No, I'm kidding.
I'll tell you what, one of my last thoughts, at least, because this goes back to probably the theme of this episode of United getting Ralf Rangnick in. I'm happy for the fact that he's coming in. I want to see what he can do with such a big football club.
After the Arsenal game,
After the Arsenal game. Everything is after the Arsenal game. But the small part of me wanted them to give that job to Wayne Rooney. I know
spectacular.
The fact about ex-player, they don't want it anymore, or whether they do or whether they don't. But Rooney he's such a character, man. Firstly, we know all his stories. I think his documentary is going to come out now. They could have literally worked with Amazon Prime here to make it part of his...
That's what United is, a promotional opportunity.
It should have, right? Like, I think Ed Woodward, for all his smarts, missed out on this. But I honestly think it should have been Rooney, and fair play to Rooney. Derby County have I don't know if you know the Shivram, but they've been docked about 30 points.
What? What is Rooney doing?
And that too... unfortunately, in installments. So first it was 7, then 13, and then
oh my God, that must feel really bad.
A lot of, I think, financial irregularities.
Administration issues. Okay.
But I have to say, as we speak right now, Derby County, Wayne Rooney has taken them to point number 1 in the positive, in net positive. Yeah.
Oh God! Oh, thank God! I thought you meant he's top of the table somehow.
No.
Does he have 130 points?
They're still bottom, but they have 1 point, which is fantastic. Fantastic.
How much further are they away before we close this podcast? I'm sure everyone wants to know who's the next person in line and what are the points they have.
Oh, so now you need me to open up the table.
Ideally, I mean, if you're doing this much, might as well do it.
Look, Shivram, I'm a Fulham fan. I only look, right there in the skies. Because Fulham are topping the table and bossing
Championship is a little below the sky already. It's not even on Sky. So
I'm sorry, I can't get you the championship because I typed championship and for some reason Champions League is opening up on Google. I do not know where.
So both of us don't know what to do with Champions League. So let that go. Okay, so if you want to find out, go do it yourself. Don't be lazy. Just look it up. It's Google. It's most likely free. You're all on Reliance phones. It's free internet. Just do it. Okay, awesome. On that note,
they're 11 points away. 11 points from the 23rd place side, which is Barnsley. That's not bad at all. They still have, because the championship is 24 teams, they still have another 26 games to go. My God.
Such a lovely competition to follow. The games, they're 42, 45, 46 games a year. I don't even know how many. But anyway, too many for us to talk about today.
46.
With that, this has been an episode of Football Shootball, episode 13, Raajneeti. Thank you for listening in. And we will be right back next week. Or maybe we won't. Maybe we will have just Sapre. Let's find out. So if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media handles. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I'm Fickleberry Hun on Twitter and Instagram. That's Huckleberry Finn, but Fickle.
If you want to reach out to me, I am Sapre on Twitter and Sapre on Instagram.
You can reach out to me at iRant, which is IYERANT on Twitter and Instagram. This is Football Shootball. Recognize.
Hi everybody, just wanted to ask everyone for a quick favor. We're running a brand survey right now and would really appreciate it if you could let us know what you think about the advertising on IVM. Go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and do let us know. As part of this, we'll be selecting 10 random participants
Hey
and sending
everybody,
them
it's
some
another
IBM swag.
great
So
week
do
on the
fill out those
IBM
surveys.
Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, founder and CEO of Growth School, Vaibhav Sinasti, joins Varun. They discuss cohort-based learning courses and where edutech is headed. Why does every marketer need to understand attention span better? On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth helps us understand the concept of attention and how to leverage it. On Tere Mere Raste, Keshav takes us on a trip to Turkey. He visits the city of Cappadocia. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam is joined by Sudarshan Lodha, CEO and co-founder of Strata. They discuss everything you need to know about fractional ownership. And on Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav explores the bizarre story of the origins of modern Malayalam, from a breast tax to a religious power struggle. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, do remember, go check out our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube, to get a list of all of our YouTube channels. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, HDFC Mutual Fund, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Have you ever wondered where the business world is headed? How the ways in which we create, market, and sell to consumers will evolve? Or if we'll ever go back to wearing pants while working? For answers to all of this and more, tune into Advertising is Dead with me, Varun Dugirala. Every Tuesday, as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers from across business, media, marketing, and beyond. You can catch all episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IBM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.